Jai Bhim everyone. Just a small correction. I was not the one who was suspended from Baroda University. There was a student named Chandra Mohan who did one of the paintings in which Hindutva forces came and said that it is objectionable, it is painted our goddess in a derogatory manner and all that. So, but yeah, I'm out of bounds from EFLU University and still that order remains intact. And something that I still don't know what was the basically I have done as a student because I was already finished my PhD and I don't know what was the for what act I was for what act I was being made out of bounds. But I want to also talk about, since we are talking about the re-emerging of the kind of political formations within the universities, and also something that we can also take it out from the universities. And I would like to start by talking about these two very recent instances, and which are again extremely shocking instances. But since the kind of times that we are living in, and we can at least sense the kind of gravity with which these kinds of discourses are being incited. So one, like recently we saw that one of the people who killed Muhammad Akhlaq, and how his body before the cremation was wrapped in the tricolor, the flag of India, and how he was declared as a martyr. And we all know that just last year, Muhammad Akhlaq was being lynched by a mob of Hindus just because of some rumor that there is beef in his refrigerator. And on the other side, we see that in HU, the kind of protest that has been taken place recently by the students, and basically against the report by Ashok Kumar Rupanwala, that in his the kind of inquiry committee that was set up by the UGC, in which again Rupanwala declares that Rohit Vemula is not a Dalit. He not only just contests this very idea that Rohit Vemula is not a Dalit, and there is again like kind of match is going on into proving Rohit Vemula's Dalit identity. On the one hand, National Commission for Scheduled Castes has declared that Rohit Vemula is a Dalit, and a person has equal right to also take up the caste identity of his mother. And on the other hand, then we see that a kind of committee that is being constituted by UGC, and it comes with this report that Rohit Vemula is not a Dalit. But it also accuses Rohit Vemula's mother, Radhika Vemula, for saying that she is being using Dalit identity for her personal selfish benefit. So also denying the dignity in both of the instances, we can see that the dignity of the personhood of both of the people who are being institutionally killed and murdered, both Muhammad Akhlaq and Rohit Vemula, is being denied by the state and by the Hindutva forces. Now, we also need to also think about that the election, it is also an election time, and whenever this government, this Hindutva ideology has to win elections, it can only be won through two kinds of tactics. Because in the name of development, it doesn't do anything in the development except the development of the rich capital people, like making them more richer from the to richest. But in to win the election, only the card that has been played, which has been always to create, more riots, to incite the discourse of communal fundamentalism by othering of the Muslims, or by bringing the patriotism in the picture, by inciting that the boundaries of the Indias are again being threatened by us, imaginable, or the enemy, which is Pakistan, that the boundaries are being threatened, and only the person like Narendra Modi or some Hindutva icon can only come and rescue the country. But in both of these kinds of cards that they play, that it's the villain or the other is a Muslim, which is to be basically need to be killed or need to be defeated, both outside the territory of India or inside the India. Now, this kind of incitement of discourse that is happening by inciting the Hindutva patriotism and nationalism, and where the Muslims are being also being asked that you have to, really demonstrate that you are being patriotic to the nation. So it's never been a onus on a Hindu there uh, to demonstrate that they are secular or they are being patriotic. It's a given notion. But whereas the other minorities, religious minorities, are need to declare that they are the one, they are also secular and patriotic for the nation. But how this kind of incitement of discourse also uh, brush certain uncomfortable issues under the carpet, which is also coming from the related to the Dalit movement. One is that they know that Dalit category, Dalit identity is a very important vote bank for them, and they have to appropriate them, appease them, and patronize them through some or the other means. If they are being if Dalits are being patronized by, by giving so many declarations they make in terms of whatever, kinds of promises they will make, then they will also, on the other hand, will try to appropriate Ambedkar, saying that Ambedkar was against, he was not against the Hindus. So by both kinds of appropriation, like it's the very hard tactic they will try to always, to appropriate Dalits, that so that they can be used as a vote bank. And now when we see that Rohit Vemula incident, or the kind of the movement that is happening in Una in Gujarat, in the very central heartland of Hindutva, that how Dalits are being actually not challenging the Hindutva Brahminical hegemony by saying that we are not going to do the caste profession, and if cow is your holy mother, then you take care of your mother when it dies, and then you try to dispose her dead body and take care all of these things. We are not going to do this profession if you think that we are and to be violently be beaten up for that. So when these kinds of uprisings that take place in Hyderabad, in Gujarat, and that we see that these totally also problematizes the notion of, or totally the project of Hindutva appropriation of Dalits. But we also see a kind of unity that emerges in both of these places. In Hyderabad, when we see that how the kind of intersectional politics that emerged, the politics that Ambedkarite groups and the Muslim student groups also participated in and fought for, and something that also very Rohit Vemula was very much part of it. If you remember when all the Dalit students from ASA, when they were suspended for the very one incident which was regarding the screening of Muzaffarnagar Abhi Baki Hai. And they then also, when the ABVP and all these groups opposed the screening of Muzaffarnagar Abhi Baki Hai in the HU campus, and also they protested after the hanging of Yaqub Memon. So these were the incidents, these were some of the issues that became the triggering point for due to which Rohit Vemula and his friends were also being called as anti-nationals and they were suspended. So that is one kind of intersectional politics that we see, the political solidarities between Dalit and Muslim groups, which is not centrist or not left liberal student groups, but who are doing a very different kinds of politics. So, and then when we look at UNA on the other hand and try to see that again we see that Dalit and Muslim unity that is being emerging within the state of Gujarat, and how both of the communities have been in the receiving end from the kind of cow nationalism or devotion that the Hindutva groups are doing. Now the question emerges that how we arrive or how we do these or what are the possibilities or impossibilities of doing or coming together and form a unity of the oppressed of all the communities irrespective of their caste, religion, gender and sexuality. Is it possible? Or in what ways we can imagine? And it's not that this question is being asked for the first time. People are already engaging in their campuses. We know that how in the recent student elections, BAPSA articulated this question even in the student elections. And also in Hyderabad, we can see how these kind of unities between Dalit, Bahujan student groups and the Muslim student groups have happened in Hyderabad between ASA and SIO, MSF, and also to an extent in English and foreign languages universities between Damsa or between Telangana students front or between the SIO and MSF. So it is not that only the Rohit Vemula instance or Una instance are the instances of where this unity has been started or can be one can trace their origin, but that origin or that kind of unities and formations has been quite old, especially in the student politics in Hyderabad. So, but what I also need to say that how we can we are definitely different identities and we have to stand up for each other's causes and for each other's because for issues, because even since the 1990s of post Babri and Mandal Commission movement, though we have entered in the campuses, but they are still the very sacred territories or domains of the upper caste Hindu intelligentsia. And that is how have also been looked or been also been framed by many of these upper caste uh, administration of the universities for whenever we ask the uncomfortable question about the attitude of one professor who says in the classroom to a Dalit student that you go back to your village because your English is not proper, you go and do your caste profession. And then we also see that how the reservation within both OBC reservations or the SC/ST OBC reservations have not been properly implemented. How they have been also been converted into the general category seats and everything. So how we also need to come together and make these kinds of the very grounded issues of the university and ask for our right that we our right for admission, our right for dignity within the campuses, but we also need to also learn and unlearn certain aspects and certain things which also forms our very identities. And I just like to share one. Uh, I don't want to call it as instance because it's an experience of being part of one of the student movements where a Kashmiri Muslim student named Mudassir Kamran was very much institutionally murdered by the administration of EFLU. But why I would like to share this experience is because the kinds of questions that also came up due to this event, due to this incident, and also it played an important role in my identification as a Dalit queer individual, or also made me to reflect on my both what to say, like personal and the political self. So basically, the Mudassir Kamran was also like it was generally a issue of two friends, two very close friends who were like fighting for because were fighting, or there was some kind of estrangement between their relations, and it was like that Mudassir and Wasim, his friend, both of them living together in the men's hostel when they were in MPhil. But when they got admission in PhD, how one of the friends decided that he want to move out from the room. But what happened is also that Mudassir became extremely possessive about his friend for not why he want to leave him, or kind of very tensions both in terms of physical or even in the kind of tension started happening between the two students. Now we all know that if we talk about the universities, does we all become very liberal, educated, progressive individuals the moment we enter in the universities, or the moment we start reading books or through the classroom learning? No, because even within the campuses, we have known that students, even within the students, like administration has anyway been upper caste, patriarchal, but even with the patriarchy, the sexism, and the kind of homophobia that also, and the kind of communalism, all these kinds of aspects also are like between the students. And now how the students learn these kinds of aspects and become as liberal, progressive individuals. It can only, if Mudassir's friend was wanted to leave, or wanted to also leave him and take another room, there might be various ways, that because the students also crack jokes on their friendship, or on of the two men being extremely close to each other. But what how I would like to highlight that how the administration looked into this issue, that when some of the progressive professors looked into this extremely estrangement, the kind of problems going between these two people who were friends, how one of the professors said that maybe there is the issue of homosexuality in it. But the proctor of the university, in front of some students who were present there, uh, like said that if he want to die, he can die, because Mudassir was already given a threat that he might commit suicide, that if he doesn't come back to. But the thing is, like even in Rohit Vemula issue, when Rohit wrote the letter to the vice chancellor, and he said that why if like if Dalits are to be treated like this in the university, then just provide them sodium azide and a rope, whenever they feel like killing themselves. Or where here, basically, how the already administration is looking at the student as a criminal, that he's doing something abnormal, something which is not to be done in the society. So when the administration has intervened into both of these matters, have both literally pushed the students in terms of committing suicide, in Mudassir's issue, the administration, the proctor says that you are a psychologically retarded rascal. So how these kinds of basically treatment also affected him, and it when Mudassir committed suicide, it was also in the aftermath of bomb blasts in Hyderabad, and also after the Afzal Guru's hanging. So in when we see that which kind of sensitive administration will, where a student, a Kashmiri Muslim student, already coming from a conflict zone, someone who has always seen the occupation of the Indian army in its everyday life, and then to be sent back to the jail because of some physical tussle happened between him and his friend, and then to criminalize him as a psychologically retarded rascal. And so that's how these universities and push these students in the verge of committing suicide. But what happens after when Mudassir has committed suicide, and when we were having a 1 month long ongoing struggle in the EFLU campus, is something that university comes up with a report and says that Mudassir was trying to be physically close to his friend. Now bringing the homophobia that like homophobia has anyway like pushed Mudassir into committing suicide, but also by bringing the issue of homophobia and saying that he was doing something which was criminal, which was something abnormal. So now basically how the student community can react to this kind of question, because now when Dalit and Muslim groups who were doing the movement within the campus, it was basically we were accused by the left, and many people in the student community, as that we are dividing the campus on the lines of identities, on the lines of religion. But now, when the such more complex issues and questions come into place, then how we who were basically only articulating identity of Mudassir as a Kashmiri Muslim individual, to be respond to this question when the admin is saying that he was doing something abnormal. He was we don't know whether Mudassir was homosexual or not, but they were definitely, by bringing this question, is trying to criminalize the widows who are homosexuals. So this is, and a kind of challenge that we are a heterogeneous whole of people, and within the student community there is a problem of homophobia, casteism, sexism, all these, and the language between majority and minority, all these issues are existing. But how we as different oppressed communities, irrespective of caste, gender, region, religion, and also of our sexuality, can basically unlearn our differences and able to also learn the very intricate matters of that are exist very much there between each other, and then able to form a solidarity, like not as a homogeneous whole of the, like where we just say that yeah, we are a progressive front of oppressed minorities, but also a very rich, diverse form of unity, where we can, or where all our identities are being respected, and we can able to form and fight the both the university hegemony, its patriarchy, and Hindutva forces also. Thank you.